Hey friends, welcome back to the farm. We're going to go out and get some sweet corn. You might have saw us process a bunch of our corn the other day. We're going to go get some for fresh eating because we're doing a barbecue tomorrow night with some of our neighbors and friends. So we're going to jump on the quad and go to the corn patch, and then we're going to come back here and make some coleslaw also. So stick around. All right, we got our bushel basket on the back of the quad. Looks like we got a little wind blowing in out here. Hopefully I don't get rained on when I go out. Brandy, you got to hang out here, okay? Hold down the fort. All right, we're here at the secret corn patch. Let's see if there's any corn left. There probably is. Okay, we got our bushel basket full of sweet corn. I'm going to take one of these more mature ears here and give it a try out here in the field. You know if it's good if you can eat it right in the field. Now you see the silk here is a little dried up. I like to pick it when it's just barely brown, when it's just starting to dry. I find the corn is the best at that point. And the way you can tell sweet corn from regular cow corn is the leaves here on the ears. Your sweet corn will have these leaves, cow corn will not. So if you're out looking for a patch that somebody told you about, and hopefully you got permission to pick, that's what you want to look for, is the ears with the leaves on them, because a lot of people will plant their sweet corn right down the middle of their cow corn to hide the patch. This one's so remote that nobody can see it from the road, so they don't have to worry about people coming in there and helping themselves. Now the only thing you got to watch for is, say this is the sweet corn and there was cow corn right next to it, the outer road right here will be cross-pollinated and you'll get kind of half and half ears, and you can tell when you shuck it, there'll be different color kernels in there, because every one of these silk, these little fine fibers, every one of these goes to a kernel. And if it's pollinated by cow corn, that kernel will be one color. Sweet corn will be another color. It kind of looks like Indian corn when you shuck it. Now here's an ear of corn. You see how the kernels are like trying to squeeze each other out. They're really tight, compacted in there. That's more of a mature ear of corn. They won't be so packed in there when they're less mature. So we'll give this a try. You can see these kernels are speckled, but this is just a variety of corn because there's nothing but sweet corn out here. So let's give it a try. Still real good, not getting tough at all. Not getting grainy, real mature sweet corn that's beyond its good stage will get kind of a grainy, sandy texture to it. This one does not have that yet, and it's wonderfully sweet. All right, let's go home. We were flying against the wind all the way here. Hopefully going with the wind it'll be a lot less turbulent on the way home. Now you see this ear right here, it's been attacked by a wild predator. Either birds have been in here shredding it or raccoons, one of the two. Birds will tear off the top of the corn and peck at the kernels, and raccoons will scratch at it. Usually a raccoon will get it open though. That's how you know when it's good and ripe. You'll start seeing damage like that. I just love the view from up here. I call this the top of the world. Just absolutely gorgeous. You can see clear to town from up here. And there's Markelly Farm. Way over there, see it? Pretty cool. That's my nearest neighbor right here, and there's nobody even living in that house. Home sweet home. Hi, Brandy. Anybody come by? Okay, we got all our corn in the fridge. You want to get it on ice, cooling down as quick as you can. And then that's the brisket we're cooking tomorrow that we got that corn for. Let's go make some coleslaw. Before we get started, I need to go get an onion from the garden because we need one for our recipe. How about this monster right here on the end? Look at the size of that baby. There's our gorgeous onions all cleaned up. You can see the measurement here, almost 5 inches across on our onion. So we're only going to need about half of that because it calls for a medium onion. So let's start our sauce for our coleslaw first. We need a half a cup of mayo. We're going to use our homemade stuff that we made the other day. To our half a cup of mayo, we added a 1/4 cup of mustard. I prefer the French's, just the normal old yellow kind. So next thing we need is 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar. All right, we got our 2 teaspoons of apple cider vinegar in there, then 1 teaspoon of fresh ground black pepper, but we got the stuff in the can. All right, I gave our wet ingredients a little stir. Next thing is a cup of regular granulated sugar. That gives it the coleslaw its sweetness. Now the recipe also calls for a half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, and I highly recommend it. It's kind of a spicy sweet coleslaw. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make 2 different batches. I'm going to put the cayenne pepper in 1/4 teaspoon because it's only half, and then the other one I'll go without for Kelly because she doesn't like hot stuff. Okay, we're going to push this aside, let those flavors come together. We're going to start working on our onions, carrots, and cabbage. So we've got our cabbage quartered and cored, and the recipe calls for 2 pounds of cabbage. We got a little more than that with 3/4 of our head. We put a 1/4 back away in the fridge for another dish. We have our half of an onion, or which equal to about a regular medium onion, and we have the equivalent of about 4 carrots. So we're going to cut this in smaller pieces because we're going to use our food processor to make our coleslaw because we want a nice fine coleslaw. All right, that's about as much as we want to put in there for now. We don't want to overpack it. Put our little ninja head on here, give it get all that down there. The cabbage is done. Now we're going to give our onions a spin. And now our carrots. Okay, got everything done. Got my crazy mess cleaned up here on the counter. I'm going to fold all this together and I'm going to put half of it in this bowl over here. Now, you don't have to go crazy with the food processor like I did, but if you want like the KFC texture coleslaw with the small bits, that's the way you got to do it. I switched to my big bowl because that little bowl was driving me crazy trying to stir it. So what I've decided to do, I'm just going to mix all the dressing in here. That way I don't have to try to split the dressing in half. And then once I get it all mixed, then I'll split it because it doesn't have to be perfectly in half. And then I'll just add my cayenne pepper when I get it there in the bowl. Okay, we're going in. Already smells so good. All right, got it all combined. Now is the time you want to taste it for salt and any additional pepper if you want. I added about a teaspoon of salt to the whole mix and that was perfect. So This is going to start making its own sauce down in here. It's going to start releasing some of the juice. And you'll just stir that up before you serve it. We're going to get this split in half and put our hot pepper in that one. Okay, we got it split up. Got our 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper. Remember, if you do it in the whole big bowl, it's a 1/2 teaspoon, not a 1/4. So we'll stir that up. See how it's making the sauce down in here? That's what it will do. So we've got it all made. Tastes fantastic. We're going to put these in Ziploc bags because they store a lot easier in the fridge than these big old bowls. Alright, got it all bagged up. Let those flavors come together. Kelly bought these new LED lights that go under the counter. They're motion detective. You see them flashing on and off. So I was able to fit mine spicy one in a quart bag because I can't resist. I had to eat a little bit. So we'll put these in the fridge for tonight or even tomorrow. Kelly might want some tonight. What do you think, Rubes? Got an opinion on this? Now that that project is done, I need to get supper going for tonight. I've got some beef out. We're going to make some beef stew. I have some freeze-dried vegetables that I've broken into the containers, so I need to use those up. So you can stick around if you want. We've got a 1/2 beef coming here in about 2 weeks, so need to start using what's left of the beef in the freezer. So I pulled out 2 packages of chuck steak. We're going to get this cut up and breaded with some flour and some seasoning. Kelly requested that I make smaller chunks, so we'll do a princess cut on these. Got all of our beautiful Nebraska beef trimmed up. The pups always hover in here when I'm trimming meat. I think they can smell it. They always know they're going to get treats as soon as I'm done. Brandy has seniority, so she always goes first. Ooh, Ruby, slow down there, Kira. We'll give them a few treats. And you germaphobes, no need to worry. I'm going to wash my hands after I do this. Alright, pups got their treats. We're ready to flour our meat up. You girls get out of the kitchen. Get out of the kitchen. Go. Alright, we've got a cup of flour in the bowl. And to every cup of flour, when I do seasoned flour, I do a tablespoon of seasoning. I'm just going to use our salt, pepper, garlic mix. Same thing I use on brisket. We'll stir that up. We'll get it frying. Got our really big wok skillet out here so we can have plenty of room in the pan. Got all of our flour mixed up in there. We're going to heat the pan, then put the olive oil in, heat the oil before we put our meat in. Now normally people fry this a few batches at a time, like 4 different batches for all that. But we're just going to throw it in there and fry it up until we get some good color in the skillet, which is going to give us good flavor. Now, you might think there's a lot of flour, and our stew is going to be really thick because flour will act as a thickener to your stew as well. But the more you brown flour, the less thickening power it has. So we're going to be pretty brown, so we're not going to get terribly thick. All right, our meat is coming along nicely. I'm cooking it on high because there's so much meat in there, and you can see it's not creating a lot of liquid because it's all cooking off, which is good. And then we got our freeze-dried stuff here that we're going to use. We've got carrots, we've got celery, we've got stock. Don't have any freeze-dried onions open, so I got some of our frozen onions from last year because we're already pulling onions for this year. And then I got a brick of our soup base. We'll use all that. Now the problem when you open the freeze-dried stuff, it's so dry that it starts taking on moisture and it loses its shelf life. So after it's open, you need to use it up within a month or so probably. You can see we got some good crusty browning on the beef here. So we're going to add some water just to cover. I always put the edge of these glass measuring cups over the pan because they always run down the front. So I used hot tap water. So we're going to bring that back to a boil. Shouldn't take as long. And then while we're waiting for that, we're going to put our frozen brick in here, our onions, our celery, and our carrots also, so they can all start rehydrating. Just dump those in. Okay, got all our stuff in. Got to dump our freeze-dried stock in there. We'll give that a stir. We'll bring it to a simmer. If you're wondering, I probably had about 4 pounds of beef in there. And then if you're using fresh stuff, that'd be a couple ribs of celery chopped, a couple carrots, a whole onion, probably that's probably 2 cups of broth, and we probably put in about 4 to 5 cups of water. Now, if you're using liquid beef stock or chicken stock, whatever you're using, just subtract water and add that. You're obviously not going to do 2 cups of liquid stock and 4 or 5 cups of water. That would get way too liquidy. I'm also going to go in with some of our dried herbs from our garden. I got about a teaspoon of thyme there, and then some rosemary. I'll hit with the mortar and pestle here. Decrease the woodiness a little bit. Make smaller pieces. All right, in we go. Throw our thyme in there. You'll really start to smell that once you stir that in. It just smells amazing. All right, we're back to a simmer. Everything is thawed out. We're going to simmer this uncovered probably for about an hour. Let that meat tenderize a little bit. Let those vegetables rehydrate. I wish you could smell it in here in the kitchen. Just smells amazing. You can see that all that flour we used did not make it too thick. It's not bad at all, but by the time this thing cooks down, it'll be the perfect thickness. And you don't want to check for salt right now, because as this reduces a little bit, the salt will intensify. So don't check it for salt until you're almost ready to serve. Okay, it's been an hour. You can see we've thickened up nicely. You can also tell I like a little beef in my beef stew. So we're going to turn this off now. Let it cool a little bit, and then it'll be supper time. Now is also the time to taste it for salt and pepper. I put about probably half a teaspoon of pepper, and it took about 2 teaspoons of salt to bring it up where I love it. And it's fantastic. There is our beautiful beef stew. A couple pieces of stopping bread with it. A little parsley for the garnish. Can't wait to dig in. Alright folks, that's a wrap on supper. Kelly got home. We had a real good meal. That was fantastic beef stew. Enjoyed hanging out with you guys today. Hope you come back and see us real soon here on Markelly Farm. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy. We love you guys. We'll see you soon.